We got a new Unearthed Arcana today called Subclasses Revisited. We're going to take 3 existing subclasses that have already been published in an Unearthed Arcana before and update them and kind of bring them and introduce some new mechanics. And that is the Revived Rogue, the Noble Genie Warlock, and the Archivist, which was previously an Artificer subclass and it has now been updated to Wizard. If you want to see what those are and compare the two between both versions, what existed and what we have now, stay tuned. Stay subclassy, Internet. What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and there is going to be a decent amount to unpack here as we go through this, as I am going to be looking at what we have currently and then comparing it to a previous version, and that does bode well because this is kind of the process we had before Xanathar's Guide came out, so it sounds like that's going to happen. But before we jump into it, I wanted to talk a little bit about channel analytics. So we're only 12 days into the month of May at this point, but I wanted to show you subscription numbers here on the channel. As you can see right here, 38.8% of you who have watched my videos during the month of May for the past 12 days are subscribed to the channel, but that means that 61.2% of the people who've watched the channel have not been subscribed. And just to give you an idea, that's about 85,000 of you have watched in the month of May thus far. And again, 61% of that 85,000 are not subscribed to the channel. So if you do appreciate and like what I do, trying to keep at least minimum daily content coming out during the kind of situation we're all in right now with social distancing and quarantining, and in some cases like this one, multiple videos in a day, and you really haven't, and you like enough what I do to just click that little subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. It does help me a lot more than you know, and everybody likes to see the channel grow and more good things are coming in the future. So that's enough about analytics. Let's jump over here. So here it is, released today. And you can see it says right here, after studying your feedback on the Revived, Noble Genie, and Archivist, we've crafted new versions for your consideration: the Phantom, the Genie, and the Order of Scribes. So we can go ahead and pull those up. They obviously have new names. So the Rogue is no longer called the Revived. It is now called the Phantom. We go over here to when was this released? Back in October of last year is when we got Unearthed Arcana Fighter Ranger Rogue, and that gave us the Revived. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that, and we're going to do a comparison of these two subclasses. So here we can see, or just get to the Rogue here. Revived. All right. So at 3rd level, the Phantom now gets Whispers of the Dead. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you gain 1 skill or tool proficiency of your choice as a ghostly presence shares its knowledge with you. It lasts until you use this feature again. Used to get tokens of past lives. When you finish a long rest, you gain a skill or tool proficiency until you take a long rest. So now that's kind of been updated to be short or long rest, so you can get more use out of that. Now you have Wails from the Grave. I really like this ability a lot, actually. Immediately after you deal your sneak attack damage to a creature on your turn, you can target a second creature that you can see within 30 feet of the first creature. Roll half the number of sneak attack dice for your level, round up, and the second creature takes psychic damage equal to that total's roll as Wails of the Dead surround them for a moment. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So we haven't really seen a lot of proficiency bonus utility or mechanics in 5th edition. There's a couple of things out there, but usually we get it's once per long rest, it's a modifier times per rest. This is now using proficiency, which means you're going to start with a minimum of 2 and end with a maximum of 6, barring a couple of magic items that boost proficiency bonus. But that's really interesting because that'll actually make it ultimately better in the long run than tying it to an ability score, but it also could be weaker if you have a higher given ability score. You also had Revived Nature, which has been basically thrown out the window entirely, and Bolts from the Grave. So this is, again, when we were kind of seeing back in 2019, the idea of basically giving everybody 3 features at the base, at the intro to the subclass. So they basically tossed out Revived Nature entirely, and then Bolts from the Grave was immediately after using your Cunning action, you can make a ranged spell attack against a creature within 30 feet of you, provided you haven't used your sneak attack this turn. You're proficient with it, add your dexterity modifier to the damage, and it was necrotic damage equal to your sneak attack. Now, this is very interesting because it's after you deal sneak attack damage. So this could be as an action on your turn. This could be a bonus action if you're doing some sort of offhand attack, but it doesn't make you use up your cunning action, and it's just a free thing. It doesn't make you use your bonus action to utilize this feature, but it is limited to proficiency bonus times per long rest. Then at 9th level, we get Tokens of the Departed. When a life ends in your presence, you're able to snatch a token from the departing soul, a sliver of its life essence that takes physical form. As a reaction, when a creature you can see dies within 30 feet of you, open your free hand and create a tiny trinket. It appears there, a soul trinket. It chooses that you choose. The DM chooses the trinket's form, or you can roll on the trinket table. While it is on your person, you have advantage on death saving throws and con saving throws, as your vitality has been enhanced by the life essence within the object. You can have a maximum number of soul trinkets equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can't create one while you're at maximum. As an action, you can destroy one of your soul trinkets no matter where it's located. When you do so, you can ask the spirit associated within the trinket one question. The spirit appears to you and answers in a language it knew in life. It's under no obligation to be truthful, and it answers as concisely as possible, eager to be free. So previously you had gotten Connect with the Dead, which was speak with dead without using a spell slot. You could use this ability. So basically you could do this once per short or long rest. Now you can do this, I guess, you can have a maximum number of these trinkets equal to your proficiency bonus. And then you can destroy it to ask it a question, which is like a singular question from Speak with Dead. But you also had gotten, when you used this ability, Speak with Dead granted you one of 3 abilities. You can learn how to speak, read, and write one language of your choice, gain a skill or tool proficiency, or gain proficiency in a saving throw. That's kind of been replaced now. While you have it on your person, you have, advantage on death saves and con saves. So you have that going on in the background. You can build up a whole bunch of these up to your proficiency bonus so that you can destroy them if you need to ask a question, but then you also have, you can, maintain the passive benefits. At 13, now you get Ghost Walk. As a bonus action, you assume a spectral form. While in this form, you gain a fly speed of 10 feet. You can hover, and attack rolls have disadvantage against you. You can also move through objects and creatures as if they were difficult terrain, but you take force damage if you end inside an object or a creature. You can stay in this form for 10 minutes or until you end it as a bonus action. To use this feature again, you must finish a long rest or destroy one of your soul trinkets as part of the bonus action used to activate it, which is nice because it's getting synergy with its own 9th level ability. At 13, previously, you got Audience with the Dead, which was advantage on death saving throws. Whenever you make a death saving throw, your spirit can ask an entity a death question that can be answered with a yes, no, or unknown. In addition, whenever you have 0 hit points and are healed or stabilized, you can change any one of your character personality characteristics, trait, ideal, bond, or flaw. That one kind of just feels a little funky. I mean, it's role play kind of ribbon stuff, which is good, but they kind of baked in the advantage on death saving throws to the trinket, and then they kind of also baked in the yes or no kind of answering the question into the soul trinket as well, which, again, that was sort of redundant in the original version with Speak with Dead anyway. So I like this new Ghost Walk, kind of being able to go ethereal and having flight is nice. And now at 17, you get, when you use your Whales from the Grave feature from level 3, if you choose to do the extra psychic damage, you can now deal the psychic damage to both the first and second creature, which is pretty nuts. So right, we're at 17th level here, so that's, I think, 8d6 sneak attack damage. So you deal 8d6 sneak attack damage to a creature. You choose to roll 4d6 psychic damage to deal to a creature of your choice within 30 feet. A reminder, that is no save, that is just straight damage. But now you can deal your sneak attack damage to the first creature. Then you deal your sneak attack, your Whales from the Grave damage to the second creature, but you can deal it now to the first and the second. It is also the number of sneak attack dice for your level, which they clarify there, so it's not like if you crit and the dice are doubled, then the psychic damage is doubled. That's not the case. And it is rounded up, though, so when you get to 96 sneak attack damage, it will be 5d6 psychic damage to both the first and secondary target, which I do like that a lot. And this is in place of Ethereal Jaunt at 17th level, which was kind of similar to Ghost Walk. You can use your cunning action to teleport to an unoccupied space within 30 feet. You don't need to see that space to teleport to it, but your teleportation fails, wasting your bonus action if you attempt to move through magical force that is medium or larger, such as a wall of force. If you attempt to be in an occupied, if you appear in an occupied space, you're shunted to the nearest unoccupied space. And you take force damage equal to the number of feet you were shunted. So Ethereal Jaunt, that's also like a term and like a spell and things, an ability from previous editions. But I like the Ghost Walk ability. I think it has more fits with this whole phantom concept rather than being like you were dead and you're brought back. I didn't really read too much into the lore of itself. So this is, I mean, it does still have a lot of the same features. That it also throws in here many Shatterkai have this ability. So I like this updated version. I don't really think you're losing out on too much that was in the revived by doing this. I think that's very well done. All right, now we need to go to the, Subclasses Part 1, which had the Noble Genie Warlock, which has now just been changed to the Genie patron. So originally you had gotten your expanded spell list like all Warlocks have, which was Fog Cloud, Sleep, Enlarge, Reduce, Phantasmal Force, Create Food and Water, Protection from Energy, Polymorph, Phantasmal Killer, Bigby's Hand, and Creation. Now you basically get one at a base level for being the Genie, and then an additional one on the type of Genie you choose. So Genies get Detect Evil and Good, Phantasmal Force, Create Food and Water, Phantasmal Killer, Creation, and then it also tacks on here Wish at 9th level. Now they don't really actually call that out specifically, so I believe that's supposed to be an additional option for your Mystic Arcanum. That's not a thing that you normally would have access to. And then if you're a Dao, you get Sanctuary, Spike Growth, Meld into Stone, Stone Shape, and Wall of Stone. A Jin, Thunderwave, Gust of Wind, Wind Wall, Greater Invisibility, and Seeming. And a Freedy, Burning Hands, Scorching Ray, Fireball, Fire Shield, Flame Strike. And a Marid, Fog Cloud, Blur, Sleet Storm, Control Water, Cone of Cold. Right, so obviously a Freedy is going to be your blaster damage type with all the fire abilities. I like the Dao ones a lot, the Earth Spirit one, because they're kind of defensive in some ways. The Genie is the air one, so you have some interesting movement abilities, but also invisibility. And then the Marid has like some sort of controlling misty water stuff. Fog Cloud can be really good as well. So that's that. And then now at level 1, you get the Genie's Vessel. So you get your Vessel. It's a tiny object. You can use it as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells, and it is randomly generated from the Genie Vessel table here, which looks to be exactly the same for both. While touching your Vessel, you can do use it in the following ways. Bottled Respite. As an action, you magically vanish inside your Vessel, which, again, makes sense with the whole Genie thing. The interior of the vessel is an extra dimensional space in the shape of a 20-foot by 20-foot cylinder. The interior is comfortably appointed with cushions and low tables and is a comfortable temperature. While inside, you can hear the area around your vessel as if you were in its space. You can remain inside the vessel up to a number of hours equal to twice your proficiency bonus. You exit the vessel early if you use a bonus action to leave, if you die or the vessel is destroyed. When you exit it, you appear in an unoccupied space closest to it. Any objects left in the vessel remain there until carried out. And if the vessel is destroyed, every object stored there harmlessly appears in an unoccupied space closest to the vessel's former space. Once you enter your vessel, you can't do it again until you finish a long rest. I like this. This kind of reminds me a lot of I Dream of Genie, and like her going in like the interior shots from the bottle. Or Genie's Wrath. Once during each of your turns, when you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your proficiency bonus. The type of this damage is determined by your patron. Bludgeoning for Dao, Thunder for Jin, Fire for Ifrit, or Cold for Marid. So, as far as I can tell, Genie's Wrath, you can do that. That's unlimited. As long as you have this on your person, you can just do this all the time. It's not tied to, I don't see anything that says that it's limited. Obviously, the Bottled Respite is a thing you could do, but that's once you use it, you can't do that again until you take a long rest. It says the vessel's AC equals your spell save DC, which, you know, is not too shabby. That's a new time. First time we've seen like an AC equaling a DC. Its hit points equal your Warlock level plus your proficiency bonus, and it is immune to poison and psychic damage. If the vessel is destroyed or you lose it, You can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. The ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and the previous vessel is destroyed if it still exists. The vessel vanishes in a flare of elemental power when you die. So it's not super strong. It has it can have a decent AC and has some HP. So there's the downside, right? If you are using it like in combat to like, whoop, let me just jump inside this thing to get a little bit of a break. That might be pretty short because if someone attacks it, it could be broken. But it's not the end of the world. You can get it back relatively easily, which is nice. So originally, this still had the replacement feature for an hour. As an action while you were holding it, you could target a willing creature you could see and create that tether to them. And for an hour while they're tethered, if they're reduced to 0 hit points, so while they're tethered, you got the following benefits. A bonus to perception equal to your charisma. And whenever you cast a spell, you can deliver the spell from the space of the bound creature. And you can create a number of tethers equal to your charisma modifier. So that didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I liked the concept of it, and the mechanical abilities were nice. This, I think, makes a lot more sense, especially the bottled respite, being able to jump inside. The Genie's Wrath, like I said, as far as I can tell, that's unlimited. So that's basically anytime you hit with an attack roll. So if you're using Eldritch Blast and you have Agonizing Blast, you're now going to be dealing the D10 plus your charisma modifier plus your proficiency bonus every time you hit somebody, as long as you have this thing on you. And that's pretty solid. Again, it doesn't have to just be Eldritch Blast. It's anytime you hit with an attack, but that's the go-to thing for Warlocks. 6th level is Elemental Gift. You get a resistance determined by your patron kind. Bludgeoning resistance for Dow, Thunder for Ginny, Fire for Afridi, Cold for Marid. Bludgeoning resistance is probably the most interesting one because there's not a lot of ways to get just flat-out resistance to that. So that's pretty interesting. In addition, as a bonus action, you can give yourself a fly speed of 30 feet that lasts for 10 minutes, during which you can hover. Now you can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. Previously, it was elemental resistance. You had to choose once per long rest, acid, cold, fire, or lightning damage. And you had resistance as long as you had that on you. Now you just have this. It's not tied to your vessel at all. Sanctuary Vessel at level 10. When you enter your Genie's Vessel via Bottle of Respite, you can now choose up to 5 willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet to also go in with you. As a bonus action, you can eject any number of the creatures from the vessel, and everyone is ejected if you leave. In addition, anyone, including you, who remains within the vessel for at least 10 minutes gains the benefit of a short rest, and anyone can add your proficiency bonus to the number of hit points they regain if they spend any hit dice as part of the short rest. So not only does this make a catnap spell look like a joke, this is almost like a weird low-level Leomund's Tiny Hut mixed with catnap, all rolled into one. And I really like this. Compared to Protective Wish, which was if your tethered creature is hit by an attack, you can use your reaction to teleport, swapping places with the creature and switching which one of you is hit by the attack. They also got Genie's Entertainment at 10th level. You can send a creature within 90 feet to your patron's court. They must succeed on a charisma save against your Warlock DC, or be drawn into your vessel and teleported to the elemental planes. While they're stunned, and your patron marvels with amusement. And then they can repeat the save, appearing in an unoccupied space. This was once per long rest. If they remain in your patron's court for a minute, you regain a use of this ability. And then lastly, at level 14, you get Limited Wish. As an action, you can speak your desire to your Genie's Vessel, requesting the effects of one spell that is 6th level or lower and has a casting time of 1 action. The spell can be from any class's spell list, and you don't need to meet the requirements in that spell, including costly components. The spell simply takes effect as part of the action. I thought this was an interesting mechanic. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish 1d4 long rests. That's the first time we've ever seen multiple long rests incorporated into a mechanic. And then obviously that's a lot better than Collector's Call, which was you can implore your patron for aid, making a persuasion check. If you succeed, a creature takes 86 hit points. A creature within 60 feet regains 86 hit points and ends a disease. A creature within 60 feet has disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws, or you cast Legend Lore. And then you had to sacrifice non-magical treasure worth 500 gold pieces. That also didn't really make a whole lot of sense, sacrificing for this. So this is a Limited Wish, got me a little confused because this was called Limited Wish, but then there's a Wish was added here at 9th level, which I guess, like I said, just gives you a new option for your Mystic Arcanum. This is pretty sweet, though, because it says any 6th level spell or lower with a casting time of 1 action. So this could potentially be I don't know if Raise Dead is an action, but I think Revivify is. So, right, this could be a way to bring somebody back if they just went down unconscious, and it doesn't cost you the diamonds to do that. This could be, I think, a Hero's Feast spell, I think is an action. There's a lot of good stuff you can do just to kind of get around the fact, one, that it doesn't have costly components, but that it's a free 6th level spell. It's just metered out by the fact that it's a D4 long rests. My personal opinion, that part will probably change if this does get published, because that's just something else to keep track of. Like, how many rests have we taken? Do I have this ability again? Again, it's very powerful. It's a 6th level spell or lower from any spell list, which is very nice. But the whole multiple long rests mechanic doesn't really fit in my mind with 5e, so I could see that being changed. And then lastly, we have the Order of Scribes, which was actually an Artificer subclass here. So we're going to go over here to the Archivist. Where is that? Alchemist, Archivist. Okay. So the Archivist got proficiencies. I don't even know if this is really going to be worth comparing. I actually don't think it is, because the abilities are so different. So let's look at what we get. Right, Wizardly Quill. As a bonus action, you can create a magic tiny quill in your free hand, and it gains the following properties. It doesn't require ink, and when you write with it, it produces ink in a color of your choice on the writing surface. The golden time you spend to copy a spell into your spellbook are halved if you use the quill for transcription, which is huge. That can save you a ton of money and time as a wizard. You can erase anything you write with the quill if you wave the feather over the text as a bonus action, provided the text is within 5 feet of you. So it's a quill with also an eraser on it. It disappears if you create another one or if you die. You also get Awakened Spellbook. Using specially prepared inks and ancient incantations, you have awakened an arcane sentience within your spellbook, and you get the following benefits. You can use your book as a spellcasting focus for your wizard spells. When you cast a wizard spell with a spell slot, you can temporarily replace its damage type with the damage type of another spell in your spellbook, as your spellbook magically alters the spell's formula. So this is kind of like the lore mastery changing the damage type. When you cast a wizard spell as a ritual, you can use the spell's normal casting time rather than adding 10 minutes to it. Once you use this benefit, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. So that's really, really cool, because wizards get a ton of leg work. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. But you get a ton of use out of having ritual spells in your spellbook, but not prepared. And this lets you bypass the ritual casting time. If necessary, you can replace it over a short rest by incanting and putting arcane sigils on a blank book to which you're or a magical spellbook to which you're attuned, which is nice because if you do gain access to a magical spellbook of some kind, you can make this work for this feature as well. If the previous books exists somewhere, it's destroyed. So that doesn't really fit in with any of the other features that are based into the Archivist that used to exist here. So let's go on to Master Scrivener at 6th level. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can create one magical scroll by touching your wizardly quill to a blank piece of paper or parchment, causing one spell from your awakened spellbook to be copied onto the scroll. The spellbook must be within 5 feet of you when you make the scroll. The chosen spell must be of 1st or 2nd level and must have a casting time of 1 action. Once in the scroll, the spell's power is enhanced, counting as 1 level higher than normal. So if you pick a 1st level spell, it becomes 2nd level spell as a 3rd. Again, it's still that spell, but just upcast at a higher level. You can cast the spell from the scroll by reading it as an action. So you need an action spell; it's an action to use it. The scroll is unintelligible to anyone else, and the spell vanishes from the scroll when you cast it or when you finish your next long rest. You're also adept at crafting spell scrolls, which are described in Chapter 7 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. The golden time you must spend to make a scroll are halved if you use your wizardly quill. Interesting that they used the crafting spell scroll section from the DMG and not the updated version from Xanathar's Guide. I wonder if there was a reasoning behind that. Again, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of comparison between the two. So I don't really think it makes a whole lot of sense to read that. Then we have Manifest. Yeah, Manifest Mind is the name of an ability here, so we may compare those. Let's see. So now at 10th level, you're able to conjure forth the mind of your awakened spellbook. As a bonus action, while the book is on your person, you can cause the mind to manifest a tiny spectral construct hovering in an occupied space of your choice within 60 feet. It's intangible, doesn't occupy its space, and sheds dim light in a 10-foot radius. It looks like a ghostly tome, a cascade of text, or a scholar from your past. You get to choose. Spectral Mind is a number of hit points equal to your wizard level plus your intelligence modifier, and it uses your armor class and saving throw modifiers. While manifested, the Spectral Mind can hear and see, has dark vision to a range of 60 feet. As an action, you can hear and see using its senses instead of your own until the concentration ends, as if concentrating on a spell. Let me just see, where does it say concentration? Presence is intangible. Okay, oh, that's the concentration. Seeing through its eyes is concentration. I got it. Whenever you cast a wizard spell on your turn, you can cast it as if you were in the Spectral Mind space. You can do so a number of times per day, equal to your proficiency bonus, and regain all uses on a long rest. As a bonus action, you can cause the Spectral Mind to hover up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you or it can see. It can pass through creatures, but not objects. The Spectral Mind stops manifesting if it's ever more than 300 feet away from you, if it drops to 0 hit points, if you die, or if you dismiss it as a bonus action. So Manifest Mind previously did create a spectral tiny presence within 60 feet. Shed light. You can hear and see through it at dark vision. Concentration is still a thing. You can cause it to move up to 30 feet. I don't know if it says that it could fly. Did I miss that part? Here, because it says it can move to a range 30 feet. Mind hover up to 30 feet away, pass through objects. Yeah, so that actually, for the most part, the Manifest Mind ability, the 10th level ability, is pretty much the same, although it is, rather than just a true manifestation, it is a manifestation of your spellbook. I think it can hover, I believe. I don't think it has its own... I don't think it lists, it just is floating, so I guess it can. Move up to, mine can hover, yep. And then lastly, at 14th level, you have one with the word. While you're holding the book and its Spectral Mind is manifested, as we talked about before, you can take an action to cause the two of you to teleport, swapping spaces. You can teleport this number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and get them all back on a long rest. Moreover, if you die, but at least one spell remains in your spellbook, you can return to life 1 minute later within 5 feet of the book. You revive with 1 hit point. Then roll 3d6. The book loses spells of your choice that have a combined spell level equal to that roll or higher. For example, if the roll's total is 9, spells vanish from the book that have a combined level of at least 9, which means 1 9th level spell, 3 3rd level spells, or some other combination. Thereafter, you are incapable of casting the lost spells, even if you find them on a scroll or in another spellbook. The only way to restore your ability to cast one of the lost spells is through the Wish spell, which can restore 1 spell to the book per casting. And it says, Wither the Archivist. This I wanted to read as well. The Order of Scribes reimagines the Archivist subclass, which originally appeared in UA as an Artificer subclass. While it was well-liked, there was a fair amount of confusion about its story, and many readers thought it would work better as a wizard subclass. Thematically, the subclass is a perfect fit for wizard, who has always been associated with scrolls and written word in D&D, so we've taken the bones of the Archivist and given it new life as the Order of Scribes. Regarding other wizard subclasses, we can share that neither of the wizard subclasses we presented recently, big news here, Onomancy and Psionics will move forward in our development process since they didn't appeal to enough people, and we can explore those subclasses' themes in other ways. So this is interesting because this is the first time we're getting kind of canon information, well, I guess outside of what we got with the Mystic, that they're giving us the heads up that these are absolutely done. Onomancy and Psionic Wizard are canned 100%. They will not be coming back. So sorry, Onomancers, sorry, Psionic Wizards, you're not getting your time in the sun, as it were. So that's it for this Unearthed Arcana. Very interesting stuff. Like I said, we saw this, if you weren't around when Xanathar's was coming out, we saw this exact process. We got a ton of Unearthed Arcana back to back to back real quick to playtest stuff. As time went on, we started to receive a couple of different revised versions of these. We got, all right, let's take these 3 subclasses, rework them again, see how they work. Okay, and then let's take these 3 subclasses that everybody really liked, and we'll play test those. So now we saw, again, it was interesting to see the Archivist get pulled, which I didn't bring up. The Archivist was in the Artificer Returns, which is in May of 2019, was when we got that Unearthed Arcana. So this was back in May when, what's it called? Eberron. The Eberron book wasn't out. So they pulled that subclass from there and turned it into a wizard subclass. The other 2 were towards the end of 2019. As we said, the rogue was in October of 2019, and the January 2020 was actually the Genie Warlock. So now it seems like we'll probably get a couple more of these where we're reviewing old subclasses that were released and trying to update, and maybe we'll get more notes like this where they're going to tell us which ones aren't going to make the cut, like we saw with Onomancy and Psionics, which does continue to lend credence that at some point later on this year, probably the November timeframe is my guess, we will be getting our secondary class-based player mechanic book. A lot of people are calling it Xanathar's 2. I doubt it's going to be called that. They'll have some other name like such and such's guide to this or manual to this. I like Mink's manual to the planes. I think that would be really funny if that's what it ended up being. But either way, let me know what you all think. Do you like these subclasses? I really think I do like all of the changes to all of them. I think they're actually, everything is pretty much a change for the better in my mind. So nobody really lost out on anything too crazy, and it makes a lot more sense. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this new player-based book coming towards the end of the year. And a shout out to my patrons over on Patreon for continuing to support the channel. I really do appreciate all of the love that you guys give to me over there. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, as I mentioned earlier on at the beginning, I would really appreciate it if you did so. And I will see you all next time.